Hi, welcome to Soul Food Ministries and Outreach. I'm Henriette Hobson. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the focus of this channel, which is no more Jim Crow. We are not going back. Listen, and the focus of this channel is Jesus. He is the one true and only living God. He and the Father and the Holy Spirit are one. And He is Lord and God of my life and everything I do, including this channel. This channel is here because the Lord gave me instructions to start uploading videos on it for the sake of having another place for Black Americans and anyone else that wants to come, but particularly with the heart and the mind of the healing of Black Americans, where they have support, where they're getting information. This is a alleged, if any information goes out that happens to not be true or still, being investigated or what have you, whatever the situation. But it's for information, entertainment purposes, whatever it is to cover my rear end as I do this. Also, please like and subscribe. It's really important according to the platform that we're on. But we're here to, bring information, pray for, lift up. And the information is to bring healing, to improve, bringing out the truth of God, dispelling the lies that have been throughout history that have been dispersed about and misrepresenting Jesus, that He is a white God. He is not. That He thinks Black people are less. He does not. That He is thinks it's okay for us to be in slavery, and He does not. And He's not just an olive color God for the folks that just don't want Him to be black, But I'm gonna tell you something. I served a white God all my life, up until 20 years or so ago, maybe 30. I don't remember exactly. 25, maybe about 25 years ago. Really, really accepting. First of all, you got to accept that He is, because it was hard to accept someone telling me that Jesus was black when I'd been growing up with a white Jesus picture on the family wall, along with Dr. Martin Luther King, yes indeed, and just all of what you don't think has affected you with a negative input that has been imparted into you through white society that we live in, that says that we're less than, we're not. You think, well, I know but the programming was still there. You don't think it is, that it's like that it had affected you, but it affected you. Whether you are resisting it or not, the effects have, had happened. Even just in growing up, there's spiritual battle going on. And so whether you saw it in the natural necessarily in a real horrible way, just because everything around us tells us we're the thieves, we're the looters, regardless of what white people are doing when riots happen or whatever, but we're the looters. They're the ones that are just out there, getting supplies because they need it. I mean, whatever it is that's said. I don't have any prejudice in me, just know that. I'm gonna call out black folks, white folks, whoever, doesn't matter. All in between colors and races and ethnicities and even religions. And you're welcome here. You're welcome here. I don't care what your religion is, what your color is. You're welcome here. If you want to, jump on the bandwagon with supporting Black Americans, just want to learn and hear what God has given me to improve your life. If you just come in here to try to tear me down, stop wasting your time. Jesus is my God, my Lord and my King. And, no matter what you try to say about me or anything that I've said or done, If I no fact, going, I'm throwing it out. I've learned that over the years. There was a time things would bother me, but not anymore. Uh, I'm not here to try and destroy anyone. That is not what Christians do. I mean, you destroy yourself. See, the thing that you don't want to do is start messing with somebody that really is saved. I'm really saved for real. I ain't playing. This is it. I mean this with everything in me, all of my heart, soul. He's got it all. My will, everything is turned over to him. So, when you don't wanna, I know there's some people they're not gonna listen or they're gonna try it. They're gonna try and see what's gonna happen with God gonna do. You know what? I fair warning. It's just like a daddy that has the courage anyway. God has, all the courage because he's God. Power only exists because of him. But you try to beat down his kid, try to beat down his child, ain't gonna happen. Somewhere along the line, somebody gonna get hurt, and it's not gonna be him or his kid. Or if he has to, which the God is not gonna get hurt. Natural man can't. It reminds me as I speak about that, speaking about Richard Williams, and how Richard Williams, he was determined no matter what. That the man has mind you, I know it's some issues there, but him and Orsine, I just, I give them their props for the courage that it took. You know what? Wow. Woo. Well, this is starting off getting emotional already. I guess it's you. But it reminds me of, let me find my pen so I can write down what I actually came to talk about so that I won't forget. My intentions was to come over here and talk about soul restoration, which is major important for our lives. But Orsine and Richard, they went through some things. First of all, no Orsine, no Serena and Venus, and the rest of the kids. You know what I'm saying? And without Richard, both of them, a lot of Richard gets most of the credit most of the time because he's more up front one. And that thing really weighed on Orsine. It really did. It took her through. He took her through, but, and I would never stand up for the abuser, someone that, and I've not seen him abuse her, but that, this is different scenarios tell you stuff. But, well, they divorced. That says a lot about what have you. And their own testimony would tell you there's some stuff there that is like, okay. But, and this really ties into the soul being fragmented and needing redemption. But those people, they held it up for their kids. They did not allow white America to get away with just treating their kids. Man was interviewing Venus, and see, Richard, Richard came through some things. Let me tell you something. You need to see his story, hear his testimony. It will light a fire under you. It really will, because this man suffered white hate, white supremacy, KKK. He suffered. I'm talking physical. He suffered from his southern life of I refuse to let anybody treat me that way, to almost being beat half to death. He said someone drove a railroad tie stake into his leg, through his flesh and his leg. It's hard to talk about that. It's hard to talk about that. I mean, but if he can, he endured it. And then he went out on the courts of Compton and suffered the brutality of the gangsters that were out there, drug dealers and whoever. And it's like, my children will play on this court and you're not going to run us off. And he fought multiple men all by himself. You look at him and think, man, what's the matter with your mouth? Why don't you have teeth in you? They knocked his teeth out. But he was determined. We're showing up every day, and we're going to do this dance every day. But we're going to play on this court. You're not taking that away from us. That's a daddy's love. Let me tell you. Woo. Now, he had this entrepreneurial fire in him and this determination that I will not be poor all my life. I will not be subject to this racist life that has been thrown at black people. Going through Jim Crow, going through the things that he's dealt with. And I'm gonna tell you, can you? I don't think I can handle that one without Jesus, for sure. I mean, so the man's soul is damaged. You talking about traumatized? You talking about traumatized? You've been called the N-word and every other animal and whatever it is all your life growing up. You dirt poor. People making fun of how you look. Everything. And you knew that you were all in. All by yourself. Now, I don't want to get this story wrong, so forgive me if I have gotten it wrong. But the story, the situation was, I think once he was being rebellious, and the adult male that was with him, I don't remember for sure. I don't want to say if his father, it wasn't his father, his uncle, or someone that was close to him. But he was not having it with these white men treating him that way they were trying to treat him. And they caught him and beat him almost to death, and nobody stepped in to help him. In turn, when he ended up in Compton, which he chose to do because he was a hard-working man. He was not, a man that let all the things that should and could and have torn a person's humanity just to nothing. Had money, saved money, was taking care of his family. Him and Orsine both. He didn't let that stop him. So by the time he got to Compton, listen, he had to fight white folks, black folks, and anybody else that came along. And he was determined I'll stand up to whoever. He wasn't afraid. And even if he was afraid, he stood even in the fear. These are mine, and I'm going to take care of them. Because he was determined to have these two girls. Orsi's testimony, his testimony about him seeing, I forget who it was, that I can't remember if it was one of Venus or not Venus, Gina Garrison, or that the other young lady. Can't think of her name right now, but or if it was one of the white players. I can't remember, but watching them get a check for playing tennis. Now he didn't know how intense tennis was. He just thought they're hitting the ball over a net and running around. Who can't do that? I'm going to raise me up two girls, and they're going to play that game, and they're going to be famous and going to be rich. We're going to be rich. And sure enough, he did. Now, Orsina already had kids, and she probably was not on board for, bam, bam. Those girls are like, she barely got home before she was pregnant again. But, and hats off to, all kudos to Orsi, enduring that. That alone is a lot. No man can do it. And, and dealing with him and his personality of just this unorthodox way of his. He didn't know how to put the brakes on, and it worked out. If you know how to do it, knowing how to put the brakes on in certain situations is important. But if you just and that's when he didn't care. And when this man was trying to interview Venus when she was just a young girl, and he kept kind of badgering her a little bit. Well, you think you can win or whatever? She said, I know I can win. And he asking her again, do you think you can win? Why do you think you can win or whatever? Richard stepped up, didn't she? In all of his unorthodox way. He stepped up for that baby and said, listen, didn't she tell you once she knew she could win? So don't keep asking her these stupid questions. See, listen, a lot of people think because it wasn't with all the finesse and the class and whatever. Well, he didn't have any of that. So here it is. I'm her father and daddy, and I'm standing up for her with all of my whatever. Okay? And I mean what I'm saying. Don't mess with her. I mean, see, the thing is, once you got him started, it was hard to cut him off. And so, they weren't ashamed of their dad. They loved him, and they loved him on camera, not just behind the scenes. Like, oh, daddy, we're around these wealthy white people, and they don't like black people as it is, and so you just be quiet over there. No, it wasn't none of that. It wasn't any of that. And I love them for that. Because, you know what? You don't know what's going on in these other people's lives. You don't know what kind of scumbags they really are. And it doesn't matter. This man is the one that will help bring you in this world with, providing his part. And had the vision, had the dream, and was determined. So when you take a look at his life and, all of that, his soul had been fragmented. Your soul could be fragmented. Trauma, can fragment your soul. Even, I mean, God built us so miraculously, so marvelously, so beautifully. It is comprehended all this you can't. I don't not on your own fully. You can go and be educated and learn things about psychology and all of that. But when it all you know boils down, you can't comprehend how God built man to be able to take some of the things that some people take and still can think. Even if they're babbling and talking crazy and it's crossed over to the other side, you don't know what took them to the other side. You don't know why someone acts the way they do. Now, I know there's consequences for what it is that how we handle things. There has to be some order. But the thing is we must recognize that there's a backstory behind every success story or non-success story. The man and woman that's on the street, sleeping on a cardboard box or a bench. There is a story. Some, and then some it was beyond their reach to do anything about it. A lot of people were abused as children, and things that happened to them, you can't even imagine that's what happened to a child. Their little, this is a hard subject. Their little souls are so fragile, yet strong because God made us strong. It is explained that I'm no psychiatrist, psychologist, doctor, or what have you. Okay, just say it. But just out of things I've read, heard, researched, or what have you, that when you go through so much pain and trauma, that your soul breaks off in order to handle it. And a portion it was a movie called based on a true story, a woman named Sybil, and she had multiple personalities. Well, because of the abuse, when you can't take the pain anymore, especially when somebody's violating you, you go to another place in your mind. You just try to shut down so that you can handle it. So you black out, so to speak. And you separate yourself from the trauma that is happening to you. Especially if it's repeat, it can be just one thing one time. But a repeated trauma, repeated abuse, and all that, wow, yeah. You have to be able to cope somehow. When I think of the goodness of Jesus, I know a lot of people say, well, why does God let this happen and that happen? And how is he so good if he does that? That's a whole nother video, but he's still good. And he's already provided the way out. Why he does all the things he does, I can't give you all those answers. All I know is that he brought and made provision for us to find our way out of whatever has happened to us. To avoid anything happening to you, you can, except, little children and people that are, little they don't have the capacity to do that. And it's just to be, he made provisions for the soul to be restored. He knew mankind had, chose the evil way instead of his way, that he was trying to provide a cushion and cushy life for us. In Eden, everything provided. But when you decide to disobey him, that's when your trouble starts. And then, whether you're a kid or not, things are spiritual, and you've done nothing to deserve any of that because you're just a child. But he provided a way. That's the reason why he suffered for us. Now, I can't get into all of that. All I know is I'm taking the provision that he provided. That's called an inheritance. There are things that happen to people, that they're born a certain way, all of that. But that's why you have to be born again. That's why he made the provisions. For you to restore, get your soul restored. Through the wee little weeping, I need to go and kind of handle that. So I'm going to cut this off right here, and then I'm going to come back and just talk in a little more detail about the fragmented soul and it being restored. Just know, it doesn't matter if you have been harmed, hurt, and your soul has been fragmented. Jesus can restore your soul. He has already done it, made the provisions. All you got to do is tap into the provisions that have been made for you. He's the greatest mind regulator there is. A lot of these psychologists and psychiatrists out here, thank God for them, they help some people, but they're limited. And a lot of them are putting you, just know, there are people that, you don't let nobody hypnotize you. There are witches out here that are in these positions, and they're putting more spirits in you. They're not helping you, really. They give you enough to keep you coming, to make you think you're getting help, but yet they're still operating in the demonic world. There are some regular folks that aren't, but they can only go so far. They can help stabilize you, but to really heal you, restore you, that's Jesus. That's Holy Spirit. Okay? So I'll be back. See you next time.